He is, Justice Knight stepped out, I think, the restroom, maybe we'll get him in just a minute. Anybody see him in the hall? Justin Knight. Huh? Okay.
I got that. I did that. But I wasn't getting to see it.
Is that? I'll give him just one minute. Justin, I'm gonna call him in just a minute. Just give me just a minute. Yeah. Personnel committee will come to order. We have two items on our agenda tonight, and seeing as how we do have Judges Clausen and Foster in for the evening, I'm gonna see if it's all right with the committee to take their item up first. I don't have a prepared ordinance, but I will invite the judges to come present before the committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Where do y'all prefer us to speak? Here?
Into that little black stick.
You know, this thing. Okay, all right, very good. All right, guys, my name's H.G. Foster. This is Judge Clausen. We both have the privilege of serving you guys as circuit judges. I'm going to try to keep this really, really short tonight. We also have someone here, Jackie Birdsong, who was a trial court assistant, or what we old guys think of as a case coordinator here for many years, but ultimately went to work for the Administrative Office of the Courts, auditing case coordinators going around the state, including Faulkner County. She has the detail and numbers with regard to other parts of the state, and at the appropriate time, she can certainly give them. I understand tonight we're just sort of kicking the ball off, but I wanted her here just in case I wanted you to know who she was, who's here. What we're here for is, we have 5 divisions of circuit court in the 20th Judicial District, which is Conway, Clinton, and Marshall. Of those 5 divisions, 3 of them handle criminal matters. One of those 3 that handles criminal matters is the juvenile court. And I don't really need to tell you all anything about that. You know, it's the premier juvenile court in the state of Arkansas. And they handle an awful lot of stuff, an awful lot more than we do. But that's the reason that I'm not speaking for 2nd Division or for juvenile court. So that leaves me and Judge Clausen. He and I divide the rest of the felony criminal docket in Faulkner County. We have 2 people who work in our office. We have a trial court assistant, who used to be the case coordinator, funded by the state. We also have an administrative assistant, which is funded by the county. Thank you very much. I appreciate it from you guys. Those are the 2 people who run the office for us. What they have to do is keep up with setting cases on a limited amount of time. As you guys work for the county, so you know that at 4:30, that's just when you start thinking about going into the second part of your day. So it's not anything unusual for you. But for lawyers, for litigants, people like that, it's kind of tough for them when it goes on into the evening until 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, which we do. And I'm not complaining about that. My point in mentioning it is that it's something that has to be taken into consideration when cases are set. In other words, when an attorney comes in and says, I got a case that needs to be tried because I've got a child out here that's being hurt. And the first time that we have to set a case where it can be heard might be months down the road, and that's a problem. Now, what we do now, what we've done in the past, is we'll go in and set something on a Saturday or something like that to tend to an emergency. My point is this: the caseload is growing. The consequences of failing to address all the details of the growth of the caseload are severe. There's something called speedy trial. You all have all heard about it. a criminal defendant in Arkansas has to be brought to trial within 12 months, except for excluded periods. What that means is the case coordinator or the administrative assistant, the people in Judge Clausen's in my office, have to keep up with that and monitor what's an excluded period, how much time is used. We have some criminal cases that are as old as 2 or 3 years because of problems getting them into the state hospital, that sort of thing. So speedy trial is a big deal. And if it's not kept up with, what happens is the criminal charges are dismissed and they can't ever be brought back. So there are consequences for the details that flow through Judge Clausen's at my office. Years ago, I want to say it was 7 years ago, I lost my administrative assistant, and I was fortunate enough to steal Margaret's person, Shayla Maxwell. And y'all were kind enough to appropriate enough money to Judge Ed Clausen and to myself for that position to make as much as Shayla was making when she worked in the county clerk's office. Because she was going to have to take about a $10,000 a year cut to come to work for me. You all absorbed that for me, and so I've got her, we've been able to function. Same with Judge Clausen, older Judge Clausen, the earlier version. This was new and improved. So y'all helped us with that. Time has passed. Caseload has grown. There's been more technical stuff involved. The demands on everybody in our office have increased tremendously. What brought it home to me was a few weeks ago, I lost my trial court assistant. So I started interviewing, trying to hire somebody. Well, I had 2 or 3 legal secretaries, not paralegals, not case coordinators, legal secretaries from Little Rock who came to apply. They loved the job. They were willing to, well, anyway, I was going to say they were willing to work with me, which is a big deal, but they were. And it was going to be great until they found out they were going to have to take a $20,000 a year cut to come to work. And that's a state funded position, but a $20,000 a year cut to come to work for me. So I didn't have that. And I ended up going another way and hired somebody who doesn't have the experience, but has the right attitude and the willingness to learn. That's illustrative of what's going on in the circuit judge's offices these days, guys. Once again, that was a state problem and dealt with. But what Judge Clausen and I are here for tonight is to ask you to help us again, to help us acknowledge and recognize the increased demands that have been placed on those administrative personnel in our office that allow us to keep doing the extra work, allow us to stay on top of things, allow us to keep up with things like speedy trial, and to keep us from having to ask for another judgeship, which would involve, well, my gosh, I know what it means to the sheriff, and I know what it means to the public defender, and I know what it means to the clerks. So we're doing more with less, guys. It's not obvious. I don't have a blackboard and I can't stand up here like I used to do in front of the jury and point out the hard evidence, but I'm telling you that it's appropriate, it is necessary. If you have the funds, it's going to make a big difference on down the road if we're able to keep these 2 people who work for us. Now, I've been talking longer than I intended. I'm going to let Judge Clausen talk to you for a moment. Sir?
I wish I could hold the audience like you. I do appreciate the time. Last time I was before you, it was budget time, and I kind of gave you a heads up that I'd be back to request this increase for my admin assistant, Ms. Sunny Meeks. So basically, did everybody get the job description and some of the information that we provided previously? Okay, so you can see they've done a lot of things, and since this position was created and initially funded by this court, which again is much appreciated, their jobs and their duties have expanded for a variety of reasons. So in particular, Ms. Sunny Meeks is also the program director by title, and obviously some responsibilities she has for my drug court program. And that's something that's required by statute. There's certain standards that we have to meet to be compliant with the drug court program, to be able to receive grants and things like that. And so she is now our program director, and there's a whole host of responsibilities that goes with that, above and beyond her regular job duties. Drug court program is also something that keeps people out of jail, which saves the county money. The other issues with the docket division agreement. One of the things that they've had to take on additional roles and do things for different divisions in different counties, beyond Faulkner County with first appearance, dockets and things of that nature that again is above and beyond what they initially were hired to do. So they've absorbed quite a bit of work. And these things that we can gloss over, in the brief amount of time that we have in front of this body, is something that takes hours and hours, out of their work week. And so it is a considerable load on them. I believe just numbers wise, we were taking a look. We also contacted some other jurisdictions. The issues that we see is there's not really a direct comparable, but what the other judges have is more staff members. So they're actually doing the job of the office secretary, the clerk that's assigned, the office admin. Potentially they have some other court staff positions. So you're talking about 2 or 3 people that are making anywhere from 36 to 42, 44 in there. But again, it's multiple positions that's doing that. When the full court approved the recent COLA raises, that bumped them up just above 41. I think our request is to get them to 50. And that's because of the essential nature of their jobs that they do, to not only recognize them, but compensate them for them, and make sure that we have them. The efficiency in which their experience and knowledge of the court system and how our particular division runs, we could not replace them at this point and continue to do what we do. So I appreciate the time, and I'll give you my back.
Just one more. She's the one who drove down from Greer's Ferry or Heber Springs. So I'm just gonna basically say, Jackie, are we shooting straight with them on this?
You're shooting very straight.
Okay, and come the day, that is, if, assuming we make it to the finance committee, you'll be ready to tell them all kinds of stuff, won't you?
Correct.
All right, guys, any help you can give us would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee for the judges? Okay, hearing none from the committee, anybody else, any other justices or members of the audience have any questions?
Justice Pearson?
Yes, Justice Higgins.
So I would say that getting the judges the support they need will be cheaper than getting another judge, just saying.
Fair point. Well, speaking about the help that you need, Judges Clausen and Foster, do you have a specific request before the committee tonight that you'd like to formally make, or would you just like to present the information as you have?
Because I was in the process of trying to get some apocryphal information from other judges around the state, turns out some judges don't move nearly as quickly as some of us would like for them to do. You know, suppose the judges you have here in the 20th district. So I don't have it. Didn't have all the information. But the bottom line is we've given you the short form of the job and the need. And as Judge Clausen said, what we're asking is for basically a bump of about $6,700 to get it up to right at $50,000. Once again, these are 2 uniquely situated employees here in the county. You know, it's not like you're talking about a class of people that are going to come following on asking for more or something like that.
Okay. Well, can the committee do anything without salary surveys or the adjustment? You might know.
Yeah, I think, the salary survey ordinance is a rule passed by this body, so this body can decide when to pay attention to it and when not to pay attention to it. But that's an ordinance that was created by the Quorum Court, for the Quorum Court, and Justice Kendrick, I believe, sponsored that, so, y'all can decide how to proceed with this. The one issue you have is if you make a motion, which you can make a motion just like we did previously to another committee, I mean, it has to have some kind of substance to it other than just move from the budget finance to here or something. So if you make a motion, just make sure that it has something of substance so that we can have a record of that later on.
So, Judge, let me recognize Justice Kendrick and then I'll get you next.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think a comment on that is, I don't think we get to ignore the salary survey, but one thing I did hear one of our judges say is that it is a unique position, so I don't know if there's gonna be any relevant information that they can gather from that. I guess my next question is probably for you, is that there's no ordinance before us to consider right now, so right now is good information gathering, judges. Thank you for bringing that to us. Or is your intention to get an ordinance written and then either hold it for the rest of the salary requests that come per the ordinances? Or are you wanting to move forward?
It'll be the pleasure of the majority of the committee to decide what we do, but my personal preference would be, first to hear Judge Clausen out to see what he has to say about the uniqueness of this position, and the possibility of salary surveys or not.
So, as Judge Foster mentioned, we have been on kind of our own, unofficial salary survey, talking with other judges and trying to get budgets and things like that. And kind of as I mentioned, but I didn't go to a lot of detail, what we're finding is that you have multiple positions with all the responsibilities. Like, for instance, I mentioned the drug court program coordinator. That is usually staffed by a full-time person, usually out of probation, parole, or in the judge's office to do that around the state. And so that's gonna come, even if it had a salary of 32 to 34,000, then you've got benefits and things beyond, way beyond that. It probably takes up the cost of the jurisdiction, up around 40s. But that's what we're seeing. So the salary survey, I think Justice Kendrick was correct. It's because of the uniqueness of the position. We don't even have positions like that even in our area, but that's because of our dockets and the requirements that we have of moving the cases in a timely and efficient manner. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on that and make sure that I made that point.
With that in mind, how does the committee feel about sticking to our guns on the salary survey for this specific request?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, my apologies, Justice Pickett. Go ahead.
Can you guys can you two judges put the material together and draft an ordinance that the committee could consider in April?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then let's delay it till April.
So who?
I have a motion to table and a second. Any discussion on the motion to table the issue until April when we can have a proposed ordinance?
Is there anything actually to table right now, other than just having
The
a
discussion, just the
Okay.
discussion itself.
Mr. Chair, judges, is there one position we're talking about, or more than, there's two positions?
One in each of our offices.
Each of you
sir.
have a position.
Yes, sir.
So the $6,700, is that a total, or is it times two?
That's times two, sir.
Thank you.
We'll get the numbers to you as well, Justice. We were, one of the things that's, the partial COLA that was released, and then we each only have one county employee, and it's the one we're obviously presenting to you today, where I understood there was some additional, COLA that would be available, that would be, I guess, allowed for the, department heads to determine, how to divvy that up amongst the.
I'll jump in there and update the rest of the committee on one thing. You will recall when we passed the budget, we had a 3-point plan that was proposed, and part of that plan was to include the 4% cost of living adjustment, and then another part of that plan was to seek out or request individual raise requests by department, so that we could do a more tailored approach to departments that may potentially need a bump in some of their positions, and not do an across the board larger COLA. And so last week, I drafted up an email, and Margaret sent it out to all department heads, letting them know that about my willingness to take up raise requests prior to our May meeting when we normally take them up, because there may be a few more this time around, since I sent an email up to everybody saying, hey, this was the budgeting process. We wanted folks who might need additional raise requests to come before the personnel committee, and since we might have a few more, I'll accept those as they come in. So that is what the judges are here doing, and I've invited all department heads from the county to do the same in advance of the May meeting, per our discussion from passing the budget earlier this year.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
May I inquire of one thing, a sort of clerical issue, actually sort of plays into our request.
Please.
I type most of this up in an email, and I'm the worst secretary I've ever had. I thought I sent it out to all the personnel committee. Did anybody get a big long email from me talking about this stuff?
Judge, I'm assuming you're discussing, I believe the actual number was like 8,499. for the two positions around, so around the 20%
I
increase.
don't remember putting the numbers in the email, but is that from me?
Yes, sir.
Then it would be, yes, sir. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that,
I don't recall, did it go out to everybody?
it went to the
Is that-
members of the
have
personnel
to-
committee.
I know I got it in my
supposedly,
JP
but-
email.
Okay, okay, well,
Well, I'll be more careful
I'll
in the
find
future, so I apologize, guys, but that was my intent. Did you get it?
No, that's in.
You just sent it? Okay, I will.
yeah, I don't
apologize.
think, I don't think I got it.
Okay. It was great.
It was, it was a good email, it was addressed to the five of us, so I don't know.
Okay, I don't know, I'll look in there. Okay,
Appreciate it. Guys, is there anything else that y'all would ask of the two of us?
just, did we give them a definitive answer on the salary survey? We're gonna waive that, or how do you do that when there's not?
Mr. Chairman, that is a question, because once again, that's sort of, if I'd been able to send an email, I sort of explained that the positions are not analogous, like Judge
Okay,
Lawson said.
okay.
Basically, in other parts of the state, other circuit judges have more personnel who make less, but do cumulatively what our one person does. Like I said, Sunny takes care, she administers the most successful drug, well, I'll say it, the most successful drug court in the state of Arkansas. In Fifth Division, we're the first model domestic violence court, and that's administered by Shayla. So, there are no apples to apples, oranges to oranges comparisons out there that we've been able to find so far. So, if you were considering possibly waiving the salary survey, that might make it easier, but I just wanted to let you know that that's the reason we're calling them unique positions, because they are.
As far as my opinion on that, the information that's been sent out and presented, it's a unique position, I think. We've had
We're good.
adequate explanation.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay, well, in the email, there's a specific dollar amount requested
$50,000, yes, sir.
for the position?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that we would be discussing in April that we're not discussing right here, right now?
Well, we can really enlarge on what a great idea it is, but other than that, I don't think so, Judge.
You don't have any of the numbers to go with the 50,000. I
No.
mean, this is the first I've heard of it. I haven't been asked to draft the ordinance or anything.
I think it's proper, and I'll, reach out to the judges, and we'll create the ordinance, my office will help create the ordinance, we'll have that to this committee in April.
Thank you.
If you're good with it, I'm good with it.
Mr. Pearson?
Just a moment, just a moment. Anything else from the committee for the judges? Okay, yes ma'am.
I'm glad to hear what you said, that you sent out to all the districts, all the, other departments, because that was part of what was spoken about, at the budget time, et cetera. And listening to what the gentleman has said this morning, or this evening, what I'm thinking, are they looking for another employee? Are they trying to add more hours to these great employees because they can do the job so well? And then it finally dawned on me, they're looking for raises for these employees. Well, and therefore I'm saying to you, I'm glad that you have reached that out to the other departments, because that was something else that was spoken about a couple of months ago. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, well, we got a motion on the table a motion to table this discussion till April. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Judges Foster and Clausen, for
Thank you guys very much, and thank you for the work you do.
Next on the agenda is proposed ordinance 22-10. Can I get a motion to put this on the table for discussion?
So moved.
Have a motion and, sir? Oh, sorry guys. Sorry, that's this time I'll like to, invite, John McGraw to grab him. He's already there. All right, you're up. Whenever you're ready.
I had a position open up last year, an adult programmer position. We hired an entry-level person that can work out. I now have a 9-year veteran of the library moving laterally from her circulation manager position into that position. Unfortunately, now I've got a $27,000 budget line for that position, and what I'd like to do is simply split those two budget lines so I can pay the 9-year veteran which she has been earning in her new position, and pay a new person, an entry-level position, in the circulation manager position. Both of these positions, are comparatively underpaid compared to all the other Class 6 counties. They average about $36,000 each across the Class 6 counties, but we're not talking about that tonight, we'll talk about that in May.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Yes, just figured.
Mr. McGraw and Ms. Gardner, you need to change the date on the ordinance.
Just typo, one didn't come out.
That's all.
We'll
my
correct it,
comment.
thank you.
March. Alright.
Which date are you changing? Just to get
Approved by the Corn Court
Yes.
date.
But we're not gonna sign it until then, but we can go ahead and amend that just by the book. I'll make a motion to amend it to March 15th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Amendment carries. Any other, discussion from the committee? Hearing none, any discussion from, those in attendance in the public, either quorum court or otherwise? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the committee on proposed ordinance 22-10? I would entertain a motion to advance to full court.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Any other business before the committee tonight?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, motion to adjourn? We're adjourned.